Hello everyone. We're going to talk about how to use Onshape. I will make a few videos so that when I'm not in class, you'll be able to meet some of the goals I want us to have when designing with Onshape. So, you will have already made an account, and once you have an account and log in, you can see I'm logged in here. You'll go to Create, and you'll go to Document. And you can really name this anything you want. This saves everything in the cloud. You can see I've previously made folders, which you're welcome to do, but for now we'll just stick to basics. So I'm going to write 3D shapes because we're just going to play with shapes eventually. This particular video will be about the Onshape environment. So I am using a mouse, and I highly recommend you use a mouse. In fact, some of the stuff I do with the mouse, I'm not sure how to do without a mouse. But I'll get to that in a second. So when Onshape opens, you're presented with 3 different planes. They're just visual representations so that when you begin a sketch, you can decide on which plane the sketch will be. And you can see this is going to get populated more in this area as we create stuff. But one of the things you can see here is the 3 different planes as well. So you can see I can select planes by clicking on the word. I can select a plane by clicking on it here. And it allows you to do multiple selections by just clicking, which is good and bad, but you'll get used to it. Okay, so that's where you'll see your planes. The other helpful thing here, and I'll mention it after we have a sketch, is that you can hide the planes here too. So, and we'll end up doing that as we work more, but I'm going to keep them visible for now. Okay, so here's the deal with the mouse. At the moment, I am scrolling my mouse, and you can see that it zooms in and out. Now, if the way it zooms in and the way you scroll your mouse feels backwards, there's a way to inverse that. And if you want to, like for me, when I drag my wheel towards me, it zooms out. That's what I'm used to. I think the default is the other way. So if that's something that bothers you, you can go to My Account, I think, and Preferences, and Rotate. Mouse controls Onshape default, and you can tick that. Reverse scroll wheel, zoom direction. I guess for me, it's set up the way I like it. So I don't need these preferences open anymore, and I will return to document. Okay, so scrolling zooms in and out. If I hold down the scroll wheel and move my mouse, so I am dragging with the scroll wheel, also called the middle mouse button, and this pans, and you'll find a little bit later that that's pretty helpful. So that's panning. If you hold down the right mouse button and drag, this is called orbiting. We don't call it rotating because rotating is when we do that to an object. But this, if I wanted to see the other side of a figure, I can orbit, and that's right dragging. Now, hopefully you noticed as you were doing that this cube also moved. Now, this cube's going to be, it's called the navigation tool cube, or at least that's what I call it. So if you're not using a mouse, this is essential. So you can right drag it just like you can on the screen. But the other thing is you don't have to drag with this. You can click a face and it goes to that perspective. So I'm looking at the back of whatever the document is. These corners will also zoom into that perspective, as will the edges. So if I want to see something from the back and the top, Oops, it didn't quite work. Maybe it doesn't work like I thought it did. No, it doesn't. But you can go with the corner and then rotate a little more. I find it really helpful to navigate towards the face, and you'll see that a little more when we begin modeling. The other thing is, if I go to the top and I want to look at it from a different perspective, these arrows will rotate. And then these little arrows will flip to the next face of the cube. Oh, I thought it did it in one click, but it doesn't. So right now you can see I'm halfway between the back and the bottom. So these little things are helpful too, these little arrows. So that's that. You'll be using this panel a lot. You'll be using, these are the 3D tools, which you'll be using a lot, but you'll also be using the sketch menu quite a bit. So that's a little bit of an introduction to the environment. And remember, I really recommend having a mouse. It helps a lot in terms of positioning stuff and getting to different views of whatever you're working on. And I'll continue to emphasize that in the lessons that we do. Okay, see you in the next video.